Hello aspirants, myself Kirtana Busa. I have appeared for interview in 2018. We at Narayana IAS Academy have come up with economic survey module. We'll be discussing each chapter separately. And economic survey is very important from mains perspective. Questions have been asked in the previous years from this survey directly. So please note all the important points to use it wherever they fit. And believe me, your economic part preparation will not be complete without having hold over this economic survey. Having said this, let us move to chapter 7 of Economic Survey, India's Demography of 2040, Planning Public Good Provision for the 21st Century. It is imperative to change the policies according to changing dynamics in order to meet the aspirations of the people in terms of generating the number of jobs per year or increasing the retirement age with changing life expectancy, or in order to consolidate the schools within 1 to 3 kilometer radius. For optimum utilization of the resources, there is a need to have the trends in advance. So, the current economic survey has come with the projection of population trends with the title India's Demography at 2040 and Planning the Public Good Provision for the 21st Century. We look into the first point, that is recent demographic trends. As per the economic survey, population growth in India is slowing down in recent decades. It says that while the growth rate in 1971 to 81 is 2.5%, in 2011 and 16, the growth rate is 1.3%. So it says that the trend is slowing down in terms of population growth. On top of this, the southern states as well as West Bengal, Punjab, Maharashtra, Odisha, Assam and Himachal Pradesh, the population growth is less than 1%. And the key driver for this slowing population growth is decline in the total fertility rate. The current rate is 2.3%, and this 2.3% has halved from 1984 to 2016, while as in 1984 it is 4.5%, the current is 2.3%. But however, the economic survey has observed that there is wide variation across the states with respect to total fertility survey. And this trend shows that India has entered the next stage of demographic transition. And in the southern states as well as these states are already quite advanced in the demographic transition, because the total fertility rate is already well below the replacement fertility rate, and the population growth is mainly due to momentum. This means that the growth in the population is despite the decrease in the TFR, and more than 10% of population are over the age of 59 and almost one third of the population are below the age of 20. These are all the demographic trend happening in India. Then the economic survey has spoken about the changing age composition. It has identified two factors, that is changing in the total fertility rate and increase in the longevity is leading to increasing in the aging population. It says that while in 2011 the aging population is 8.6%, it increases to 16% by 2041. Here comes the need to plan for healthcare services to the aging population as well as increasing in the retirement age. Hence, there is a need to have the dynamics in advance to plan accordingly in order to meet the aspirations of the people. In the same manner, the young population is projected to drop from 41% in 2011 to 25% in 2041, and the working age population is expected to hit 59%. So what are the implications for the working age population? Because then what are the implications for working age population? And this working age population determines the size of the labor force as well as the direction of the interstate labor migration. As per the economic survey, the working age population will continue to increase by 96.5 million in 2021 and 31, while it will be 41.5 million in 2031 to 41. Hence, there is a need to create additional jobs to keep in phase with the projected annual increase in working age population. The economic survey points that changes in schooling years, age distribution as well as female labor force participation rate will have impact on labor force participation rate in India. And the economic survey points that while some states are going to have aging population in advance, the interstate migration will compensate for the labor force participation rate. So the second point is policy implications of aging. The first point speaks about the elementary schools. And the survey points that with the decreasing of population in the 5 to 14 years age group, that is, this is the age group which goes to the elementary school education, this leads to increase in the number of schools per capita in India. And hence, in order to optimally utilize the schools, there is a need to consolidate or merge the elementary schools. This is important in order to keep them viable. And the survey says that this step is in line with experience of other major economies, and it also points that merging the schools is not equal to reducing the investment in the schools, but we should focus on quality rather than quantity. Then healthcare services. Access to healthcare is still a major challenge in India. There is a huge rural urban divide in terms of healthcare facilities as well as accessibility between the rich and poor. So there is a need to expand medical facilities in states where population is high and per capita availability of beds is low. And for those states which are in advanced stage of demographic transition, there is a need to provide focus on the geriatric services because the aging population needs this geriatric care. However, the survey points that the paucity of specific data will hamper the policy decisions because we don't have complete data from the private hospitals. Even though we have the data from the public hospitals, this is not enough in order to design the policies. Then with respect to retirement age, the survey points that India's healthy life expectancy at the age of 60 is now at 12.9 years. Hence, there is a need to increase the retirement age for both men and women, and this is in line with the experience of other countries. And since we are anticipating the shift, there is a need for us to implement this decision a decade before so that the people will get adjusted to the decision. And this makes the pension systems viable as well as increase the labor force participation of females in this age group. Concludingly, the economic survey says that this chapter is not merely an attempt to look at the changing population dynamics of the country, but also to illustrate how common working assumptions of economists and policymakers need to be revisited from time to time in order to meet the aspirations of the people. And further moving, it says that the working assumptions and projections should be revised in light of new evidence for areas such as urbanization, energy requirements, forest cover, water availability, climate change, and other long-term factors that have a large impact on the socio-economic context in which government policy interventions play out. So, in few words, the economic survey is saying that taking into consideration the current dynamics, there is a need to change the policies accordingly for the benefit of everyone. Hope this video is helpful. Thank you and all the best.